Hi, I'm Eddie Hazzard. Welcome to another episode of People You Should Know. Today's guest is a man who helped me through physical therapy last year. I had to get through with my arm and legs and got me back on the mend and stuff like that. Well, in those months that he was working on my body, we got to talking about each other and his personal life, and come to find out that the man was an author, a trilogy, wrote 3 books. I haven't even got one. Also, he's a mystic. The man is, in the spiritual world, is up there on the top right there. His name is Mr. Blake Sinclair. And every now and then, you need to tune up with your body. That's how I feel. And this man can help you spiritually, mentally, advance you, and help you physically, which he's done for me. And today I have him. Please welcome my guest here, Mr. Blake Sinclair.
Thank you.
Well, no, thank you.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Blake, I read your credentials. They're off the hook, man. But before we get started, tell us, where are you from?
Originally from San Francisco.
Uh-huh.
And I grew up there, and then I moved to the Valley, to Pleasanton for a while. So I live in the Valley and in Dublin area.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. So let's talk about your spiritual journey. What set you in that area for your spiritual journey to become a mystic and a teacher and a theologian?
Yeah, it's a long story. It started when I was a child and being born in a very toxic environment. But I think it creates a situation to push me to look for meaning in life. I suffered as a youth from dysfunctional parents, and I was very depressed, and I had a lot of discrimination, and it was hard to kind of live in that environment. And so I was trying to find a purpose in life and try to find a way to end my suffering. Mm-hmm. At one point, I went through a meltdown process. I was wondering why I was here. I didn't feel like I fit in.
Right.
And fortunately, my mom was able to tune into that. Mm-hmm. She came to my attention. She was crying. My sister, they saw how sad I was. And at that point, I realized that, sometimes, having Asian parents, they don't express their emotions.
Yes, keep it inside.
And, but she cried, and I felt that connection that she really loved me. Uh-huh. And that inspired me to work hard to move beyond my suffering and to be better. I wanted to find a way to end my suffering. Uh-huh. So I worked really hard. I told myself, I'm going to achieve the American dream. I'm going to make money. I'm going to buy a house, cars, everything. And maybe people will love me more, and then I'll feel better.
Right.
So I worked hard, and I did really well in school, and I achieved all that. But somehow I had people love me, but it wasn't for my soul. It's for a superficial thing, and uh-huh. I didn't find purpose in that. I found a kind of there was a void inside. So that pushed me to explore for a greater meaning in life, and that pushed me into my spiritual journey to find out, why am I here? Who am I? What is my destiny? Mm-hmm. So that journey led me to studying with different masters and gurus. And as I started meditating, eventually it connected me to a higher realm of consciousness. Mm-hmm. So that eventually helped me to find my center, my true north, my true nature. And that led to the end of my suffering.
Ah,
yeah.
Far out. Mm-hmm. So where have you traveled? Where have these teachings led you?
Oh, you mean travel with the teachers?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Mostly the Bay Area, but one particular one is Mount Shasta. He's probably one of the
spiritual place here.
Yeah, there's a spiritual mecca. Some people call it the root chakra of the planet.
Wow.
It's an energy center. Other people call it the heart chakra, because it was a volcano. It's a dormant volcano. It's a lot of intense energy. But it was there that I met Peter Mount Shasta. He's like a spiritual guru. He's written many books, many spiritual classics. Mm-hmm. He's the apprentice to Saint Germain, and he's had physical encounters and with him, and also many other ascended masters. Mm-hmm. And so he actually led me to the ascended masters when I went to Mount Shasta.
Wow.
So I first met him. Actually, I saw his picture through a friend in Facebook, and I said, his energy was so strong. It was calling me to connect with him. So I don't know why, but I was prompted to just connect with him.
Amazing.
So I sent him it's amazing. I sent him an email, say, hey, can we meet? I said, sure. So I went to meet with him in Mount Shasta at this restaurant called Lily's Restaurant. And we had a nice talk. It was fun. And then he invited me to his place. And interestingly enough, a week before I went to meet with him, I was obsessed with these turbans, the Indian turbans, like what the Sikhs wear. I had no idea why. But after going to his house, I was looking at these pictures, and And I said, who are they? He said, these are ascended masters. They're
Oh, wow.
beings who lived before, now they're in the kind of this alternate realm,
Yeah.
kind of like angelic beings.
Uh-huh.
And I saw this being. He was wearing a turban. And I said, oh my God, he's this Indian guy wearing a turban. And suddenly Peter said, he was kind of got a message. And he said, the Maha Chohan is waiting for you. I said,
Wow.
who? He said, and then we were talking again. And all of a sudden he got the message again. He said, he's waiting for you right now at the Mount Shasta, on the mountain
Oh,
itself.
far out.
So I didn't know anything about that. And so I said, okay, I'll go. Because
Wow.
you're the great master. And
Wow.
so I'll listen to what you say. And I went there on the mountain. It was very dark, and there was a lot of snow on the mountain,
Yeah.
snow on the road. And my first time there, and I had no idea what I was doing. And like, where do I go? So I went to this one area called the Bunny Flats. And it was really dark, and there was only a couple of people there. So I said, am I supposed to be here? I looked around, and eventually people were leaving. So I was the last one left. And I saw like huge footprint. So I don't know if it's a bear or Bigfoot or what.
Bigfoot?
So I said, am I going to be eaten alive by these creatures? But I said, well, if I'm supposed to be here to meet the Ascended Master, I'm sure they're going to protect me.
Yeah.
So then I kind of went to a place where I was guided to go to, and I started meditating. And then suddenly I heard a high frequency pitch. And I never heard that before. It's really loud. And all of a sudden, as I meditated, and then these ascended beings came to me.
Yeah.
The
Wow.
Maha Chohan, Saint Germain,
Amazing.
Kuan Yin. And they were working on me, attuning me somehow. They were sending me the signal. They were kind of above me, sending a signal to me to raise my consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
Then all of a sudden, when it was completed, I looked up, and the whole sky, it was dark before, mind you. The whole sky was dark. It was all completely blue.
Wow.
It got clear completely.
Wow.
It was like a good omen
Wow.
that had a wonderful spiritual event.
Amazing. Amazing.
Yeah, so then when they left, the frequency sound went away. Later on in life, I found out that when you have a clear audience and you hear from the ear, through psychic energy, you can hear it on your right ear, and that was
Wow.
activated.
Wow.
So that was the beginning of my mystical journey. So I started to meditate many years, and these spiritual beings, these ascended masters would come to me like a Kuan Yin, guiding me throughout life to help me to reach higher consciousness and to affect myself and others and humanity in a positive way, and bringing more light and love to the world. Yeah.
Well, I'm just amazed how we met each other, because, had I not, been, I had the accident, I would never have met you at all. We'd have been like two ships on night. Now here we're talking, and look, here
Yeah,
we
that's
are.
right.
This is crazy.
It's beautiful how the world works.
Yeah, I got to hit lotto now. So what is your advice to someone who wants to get into meditation, who to listen to the right way starting off? Because there's a lot of people now, their minds are opening.
Yeah, that's right.
Getting
The
open-minded in
planet's
terms of,
awakening. That's
wakening
right.
up. So what is your advice? Somebody wants to get
Well,
started.
it depends on the person, but I think just finding a system that you want to learn. One basic system is the Vipassana meditation.
What is it again?
Vipassana.
Uh-huh.
It was the one original system developed by Buddha,
Mhm.
Gautama Buddha, to attain enlightenment. And he had that system, and they took that system, they continued the tradition all the way, I believe it was Myanmar, Burma, and they have different masters that teach it, different gurus. I think you can sign up for like a free class, for a 1-week class. They even have some courses in Berkeley, but that's a very pure system where you work on your mindfulness, working on bringing your thoughts within, letting go of the external illusory world and coming into that divine presence. The whole thing about meditation is just kind of a progressive method of going within and to go to the center of your being, to the heart center, and finding that spot where the thoughts originate from, you know. And the yogis talk about going to that center of being and having communion with God. Yogananda talked about that. So you can reach a very high supreme level. But for most people, just focus on your breath and, in and out breath, and focus going inwards and kind of stilling the mind. Something arises, a thought arises, just like a cloud. Just be aware of it, but don't freak out by it. Just let it go and then redirect the focus to the breath. So just focusing on the breath is a kind of a start. But if you want a formal training, go to some class that teaches for Vipassana meditation. They have 1-day or 2-day classes in Berkeley, or you look online. I think probably for Vipassana.com, they have a whole 1-week course or 1-month course that you can participate. But there's also a lot of audios you can get to. Some people find it better to listen to something. I think Wayne Dyer has a CD,
Wayne Dyer.
yeah, about the meditation, and that they found a frequency, I think the IM frequency, that you just listen to the music and it guides you into relaxation. That's okay in the beginning, but eventually you want to learn how to use your breath and redirect your awareness yourself. That's how you get mastery. And so I write about how to do meditation, different meditation methods in two of my books.
Well, what's the name? And since we got you, what's the name of your books?
The first one is called Dare to Imagine, 18 Principles to Peace, Happiness, and True Success. And that kind of covers my journey from childhood to adulthood and everything I did to get through all my struggles in life.
Right.
And all these books were downloaded information from these ascended beings.
Amazing.
And I would just sit there or sleeping and I would get information. And I would have to write it. If I don't write it, it keeps on coming to me.
Yeah.
So I wrote it down in books. So the second one is a New Beginning. Actually, The New Beginning, An Antidote to Civilization is the third book. So these books have the teachings about health and meditation.
So a person, sometimes what they eat can really be destructive to their health. What do you think about what is a good thing to eat? Because some people are not going to go veggie, all the way, but they still want to eat a little bit of meat. So maybe a little bit of fish. So what is your recommendation for a good diet there?
Well, in general, you want to eat real food. You want to eat organic fruits and vegetables. And even if they're organic fruits and vegetables, you have to kind of clean them. You can get a little bit of baking soda, hydrogen peroxide, and clean them up. And then if you do eat meat, you eat grass-fed beef. And if you eat fish, you should eat wild fish. Don't get farm-raised fish. And avoid any creatures that have injection of antibiotics.
Yeah.
But I think in general, eating more plant-based diet is the healthiest way to go. But having said that, it depends on your blood type. So depending on your blood type, certain people need more vegetables and other people need more meat.
And protein in.
Yeah. And people who say, well, you shouldn't eat meat, you're harming the creature. Well, that may be true. But we try not to do that. So that's why we eat more plant-based diet. But even a vegetable, we're considering it as a non-sentient being, a non-conscious being, but they also have a consciousness. Flour has a consciousness.
Right.
So everything has a consciousness.
Right.
I think it's our attitude towards what we eat. Give it reverence. Whatever we eat.
Yeah, that's a good
give gratitude
point.
and pray and thank it.
That's a good point. So let me switch over to crystals. Crystals, what I was told many years ago that they call you. And every time I'd get a crystal, it would call me, and then within about 6, I lose it, can't find it. And I go, why did you call me if I'm not going to be able to find you, What do you think about crystals?
I think crystals are very fascinating. To me, it's like a consciousness, when God created this reality of consciousness, the consciousness of light expanded throughout all matter of the universe. Including the crystals. And crystals they capture the essence of maybe a spectrum of God's consciousness, different natures of it. Some have properties of healing. Some have properties of grounding. Some have properties of protection. Having said that, not all crystals are created equal. Sometimes you get these cheap crystals and they don't do much. When I first encountered my first experience with stones and crystal, I was at Mount Shasta. And I found this stone bench, and I sat on it, and all of a sudden I felt so focused and so grounded. And I sat in another one, and all of a sudden I felt like this energy was floating, lifting me up, kind of this creative energy. And so I've always been fascinated with crystals. And so you can see I'm wearing different crystals.
Yeah.
They in tune to your energy in your body, because at the cellular level, we're energy and vibration.
True.
At the center of being, we have chakras. And we have meridians, and they kind of are affected by these crystals, subtle energies. And by getting the right kind, quality, intensity of it, we can influence our chakras, and that influences our health and our wellness and protection. There are certain ones you want to use for protection.
How would you know which ones to to
most stores, crystal shops, still have like a description of what they're for. There's also the Crystal Bible that you can buy that has all the description of it. Nowadays, they have so many descriptions of it, and then you can find that way. But like medications or supplements, there a lot of times the crystals have different purposes.
I see.
Yeah. But I use crystals sometimes for meditations.
Uh-huh.
It helps to deepen the experience. Sometimes if I want to go deep into higher consciousness,
Like samadhi or something like that?
yeah, it's some samadhi. Yes, I put like different crystals around my presence, around my body,
Amazing.
to activate me to higher consciousness. And I use crystals that are very high conscious crystals. I was given one by a woman who was one of my client, and she had this one crystal. It's a Lemurian crystal. It's a real small one, and she took care of it like a baby.
Ah.
She gave it love, gave it sunlight,
Wow.
and this thing grew to as big as my palm.
Grew. Amazing.
You ask the scientist, that's impossible. It takes
Yeah.
millions of years. And so she gave it to me because she said she wanted to give this gift to me because it wanted to come with me and travel with me. I felt that connection with it. It had a consciousness.
Amazing.
So I brought this thing to different people, a lot of my mystical friends and the Buddhist master. And as soon as she felt it, she said, there's a consciousness,
Conscious in
a
there.
soul in there.
Amazing.
So yeah, there's a purpose.
Amazing.
They're beautiful things to work with, but not to worship. Crystals are just a tool to help us. But some people they listen to the crystal and say, "Oh, this is so special." It's just one of God's gift to us to use as a tool for
Yeah.
healing. You can use it for Reiki healing, and it does wonderful things to amplify the energy. Yeah, so definitely crystals are good, but to choose your crystals wisely.
Yeah, they put them in watches.
Yeah,
They're in all our electronic equipment there.
Yeah,
Crystals
the
are-
quartz crystals store data, and so you can program it with your
Amazing.
consciousness. If
Amazing.
you want it to do something for you, you program it. But
Yeah.
also it carries the people who touches the crystals. They put their energy into it. So whenever you get one, you have to clean it because otherwise you take on their energy. You have
How do you
have
clean
to
it?
sage it. You might wash
Oh,
it with
sage,
water.
I see.
Yeah, or you can put your energy onto it.
I see.
Put in the sun for activation. Some people put in salt. So different methods of cleansing it. You can get yourself a selenite bowl and put it in there, and that cleanses the crystals as well. But it's very important to cleanse it,
Amazing.
especially if you go to crowded places, you go to hospitals, a lot of dark energy.
Yeah.
They tend to cling onto these things,
Wow.
and you have to sage it, declare it. Otherwise, you put in your pocket, you get that energy onto yourself as well.
Wow. Well, I know that the crystal, as you said, was given to you.
Yeah.
Now you're supposed to give it to me, and then I pass it. What? That ain't how that works.
That's how it works. The way it works is that if I get a message within, they call that the I am presence, that cosmic connection, the Holy Spirit, whatever you want to call it, but that universal connection from the Creator connects into our heart. And when you meditate a lot, you learn to connect with that, and it tells you what you should do. It guides you to the path of enlightenment, the righteousness. And if it's meant to go to you, there'll be a strong message. Hey, give this crystal. And it happens
Wow.
sometimes
Wow.
that people will give me things because they're prompted to give it to me.
All right.
And vice versa, I would give people things just because I was guided to. Because that crystal, although it's meant to me for a short time, maybe it's finished its journey. It's time to go for somebody else's journey to support them.
Amazing.
So,
So you think one person can make a difference?
oh, definitely,
Ah.
definitely. Yeah, because according to, I met this one Harvard doctor, and we had a conversation after she gave a lecture, Dr. Edith U. Bangtu. And she told me that Dr. David Hawkins, he's a, I think, physician, psychiatrist, spiritual teacher, very enlightened being. But he wrote this thing called the map of the consciousness. The very high level is like you're living in an enlightened state of consciousness. At that point, you can affect about probably 60 to 70 million people.
Whoa.
Just being that state of consciousness, just existing.
Yikes.
Yeah, and then so like if you
Wow.
existing in a level of love consciousness, you can affect probably like 750,000 people. So that's just working yourself. Now, if you
Infected them in which way?
you kind of you can clear the negativity of these people.
Beautiful.
Yeah, so you're positively influencing them. So through your own path of enlightenment, you help yourself, of course, and you help the people around you. And if you learn to serve, and then you learn to meditate to amplify the consciousness, you can influence even more people. Because meditation, in the beginning, is about self-help and so forth. And, but it's beyond that. It's about becoming one with nature, the Mother Earth, and the universe, and ultimately God and Creator and creation. And there's no difference. There's no more duality. I mean, we reach that certain high level.
So when a person, let's say a politician, do they have that? Because a politician's one thing that they're going to help the people, but they have another You know, they got their other
Agenda.
side behind, pardon me, another agenda. So my question is, if I can break it down, sometime without even their consciousness, like you were just saying, they can make people happy. They're doing it without even thinking about it because people hold their thoughts and their words with authority without doing that. So my question is, when you know somebody's just real evil, you know,
Yeah,
just
yeah.
doing so, how can you counteract in their maybe up in politics or they have a real big powerful position in society? How do we counteract that or get around that?
Well, you can't change others. You can only change yourself. As you change yourself through your own practices, your own devotional practices, your own spiritual cultivation, then you affect the people around you. But through meditation, there are techniques you could also do. You can invoke the violet consuming flame. It's energy in the universe. The universe is made of this violet light. And in your whole body, there's like this purple light. And where there's dysfunction or illnesses, you don't have it. It's absent. But we all have the ability to invoke this violet light, a very high vibrational energy, to transmute lower vibrational energy. And in fact, I do that every day. I call upon this light, and I know groups, Peter Mount Shasta and his group does that all the time. They create this violet consuming flame ray that goes through the earth, kind of purging it and cleansing it. And then, so when I meditate, I visualize that too, and then I do that on the earth, and I see the darkness in it, and it's a kind of cleansing of that, and I see it kind of evolve in this dark energy from this ego consciousness to more of a unity consciousness and love consciousness, and then changing the energy and light of the planet from a dark into more of a lighter color to maybe like a green and pink, and ultimately to a white light to purify everything. So those kind of things you can do. I mean, you can even do that within your own inner universe. And who's to say that you cannot connect to the quantum realm and affect the planet and the universe?
Wow.
You just have to let that limit of consciousness go away, and expand it. And each person who does that can influence the planet and the universe in a profound way, especially if you live in integrity and love and gratitude, you know, following the great principles and devotion. The more powerful your energy becomes.
How long do you think, just hypothetical, I've thought this since I was maybe in my 30s, for the planet to unite and have one consciousness? How long do you think that would take?
Wow, I think we've been trying that for a long time. But
Yeah.
I think with what happened in the past few years, there's a great awakening in the planet. And I don't think we'll ever get to the point where there's complete unity consciousness. But I think it takes just a small amount of people working on that to shift the dynamics of the planet. Right now, I see the planet going through this kind of a power struggle. There's a dark side pulling it down to create chaos and disorder. And there's this other side bringing it up to bring unity. So, and then with these new generation coming, these new babies come here, they're very high conscious babies.
Yeah, they are.
And they're here to help us to bring it higher. So, I mean, I see it moving that direction, but it takes time. It takes time. And it's our choice right now, the choice we make today on what's going to happen in the future. So, but it is going higher consciousness, more towards that unity consciousness. So we don't know when exactly, but
Many years.
many years.
Many
But we're
years.
heading the right direction, and people are awakening to things, and they're trying to see beyond the matrix. And that's a great thing. It's a beautiful time to be alive, and that people are waking up. And previous times, people were just enjoying their life and not realizing that they're in this artificial reality. And this artificial reality is getting more artificial with artificial intelligence.
Right.
So we're going towards this world of artificial intelligence, and this world of GMO versus non-GMO, artificial intelligence or divine intelligence. So there's a kind of this tug of war. But if we make the right choices, we can definitely push the planet in the right direction. Because one direction will lead us toward a self-destruction of the planet.
For sure.
So, but I'm optimistic that we can influence it in a positive way.
Now you met a Tibetan guru recently. Am I saying that correctly?
A Tibetan guru?
No, Tibetan.
You're talking about the master,
Master. That's the guy. Yeah.
He does Tibetan art.
Tibetan art. Yeah.
Romeo Shrestha, Master
Yeah.
Romeo Shrestha.
Master. That's him.
Yeah, he does Tibetan and Nepalese art. They call it thangkas. Beautiful, beautiful artwork. But he's a renowned artist, and he's the top in the world. He creates huge, huge projects and very intricate projects, beautiful pieces of Buddhism. And I met with him recently. He called me a few months ago. He wanted my help to help him get this artwork into the Asian Art Museum. They have his artwork everywhere in the world.
Wow.
Including the British Museum, where he
Whoa.
did an exhibit there in New York. So he's world famous. He's everybody knows him, and so he's a wonderful, amazing person and a very enlightened being. So he does enlightenment artwork. So he asked me to help him, and I don't know anything about art world or connections, but I just said, okay, well, you asked me, and when people come to me, it doesn't matter who they are. It could be a little kid, or old lady. If they need help, if they came to my lesson for some reason, I'll do my best to help them the best I can. So I said, okay, well, I'll pray about it, and I made a phone call, or I'll send some messages to friends. And I contacted Elaine Leron. I think she's an iHeart Radio or something. She's a reporter. And
Yeah, I know her.
you know her,
Yeah.
a wonderful person, yeah.
I know her
So she
well.
gave me some contacts, and I called and emailed and made phone calls. And after a few days, I guess the curator responded to me. He was interested.
Wow.
So then Master Romeo Shrestha came over to the Bay Area about a week ago. He just called me and said, yeah, I'm here. I said, what? He came from, he's from Ireland. And he does a lot of work in Kathmandu. He's got like probably 2,000 to 3,000 students, apprentices around the world.
Wow.
And so he told me he was in Success Basketball. So we decided to meet and met with him and talking about his exhibit. And he was really happy that we connected because he came to the Asian Art Museum, and I guess he got approved for the exhibit. I don't know when, but hopefully it'll be this year. If not this year, sometime next year. And we started talking about it because he had this one piece that he created that took 7 years to do.
My goodness.
And I believe it was like, I don't know how many, 7 apprentices, I believe. It was a lot of apprentices working on it to create this huge project. It was a Tibetan medicine art, very powerful. And he
Was it a big mural?
Not a mural. It's just some kind of. He hasn't told me yet because he doesn't want everybody to know. It's kind of a secret.
Yeah.
But it's a huge project, and when the time is right, he'll share with the rest of the world.
Wow.
But
Can't wait.
he wanted to have this situation where we assemble like the best the spiritual teachers, masters, enlightenees around the whole Bay Area, and anybody who's into healing to come together and perhaps meditate, with this art and have some kind of ceremonial practice to bring out light and the unity of consciousness and affect this whole dynamics of the Bay Area, San Francisco, California, the whole United States in this quantum realm. That was our goal. That's his goal. And I support him with that because I know a lot of healers, gurus, and masters around the Bay Area that I'm affiliated with. So I'm looking forward to supporting him with this beautiful historic debut of his artwork. Yeah. So I'll keep you posted when that happens.
I appreciate that. I got a question just to throw it out there. So I've always wondered at times, why do people meet each other? Why do you think people meet each other?
Well,
Just off the ball,
No. That's a good question, and I keep meeting wonderful and great people around the world. I mean, really.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Including yourself.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
No, but the thing is, the more we are in tune with ourselves, the more we meditate, the more we listen to our divine presence, that subtle prompting, that intuition, the more it guides us to the people we need to meet to fulfill our destiny in life, And so that's the reason why we meet people, is maybe we had some kind of relationship in the past life, and we're brought back to this life we need to meet for a higher purpose. Like I met you, I could have met somebody else, but I met you, so that now we're given this opportunity to talk about these things.
That was crazy.
It's just like I had a client, I met her, and she didn't know who I was, but then when I walked by her, she could see the Buddhist aura around me.
Wow.
And all of a sudden she had a flashback, and she knew I was her friend in a past life.
Wow.
And she was like a Buddhist master before. And then she ended up giving me these Buddhist beads. These are real, genuine Buddhist beads.
Wow.
From Thailand, from the carved from Samarot in the mountains, where these Buddhist masters would meditate and attain like ascension or mastery.
Oh, that's the real
liberation. Real deal. I mean, people are psychic, they can feel the energy in here, the consciousness of the Buddhist master. And one time she gave me these beads, these artifacts, and she told me to meditate with it. And when I did, all of a sudden I saw myself surrounded by all these Buddhist masters. And then I saw my past life with her, connected to her as a friend. Yeah, and so she's an extraordinary story too. She ends up being.
Let me see these. See if we can get close up on that. Maybe the bees. Probably not. There we go. There we go. Yeah. Look at this. This is the ones he was talking about up here. This one there.
Yeah.
That she gave you.
Well, no, both of these. And these represents two different caves in Thailand.
Caves, amazing.
I just want to say something about her because she's in my book too. I wrote about her. I call her a Master Relica. And she has the definitive proof of life after death. She has these relics, and they're the relics of Buddha, Gautama Buddha,
Wow.
the original ones.
Wow.
They were given to her by a Buddhist master in Thailand, and he gave it to her in a container. She took it home, was meditating, and all of a sudden there was a orb of light that she saw, and it went into the container.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden she heard like a clicking on the glass where the relics were. I think she had like 7 or 9 of them, and all of a sudden they multiplied to 1,000.
1,000.
1,000, and then she would give it away to Buddhist masters and friends and so forth. And then they would refill. And then she would start getting different relics from different masters, Buddhist masters, but they're all related to Buddha.
Amazing.
Yeah. Anyway, so what happens is interesting is that people who live a kind of a toxic life or self-indulgent life, if they're given one of these things are aware and they disappear. They leave.
Wow. Wow.
One of her friends, it happened that way. They left her, so she was very saddened by it. She prays, "I'll be a better person. I promise you come back." And it came back.
Wow.
So I had mine. She gave me some too, and I brought it home and I put it in my temple. And one day I went to the Mount Shasta, the very sacred place, and I meditated in front of a Tibetan stupa.
Right.
Came back, and my relics multiplied too.
Wow.
It's a positive, wonderful omen. So we've been friends ever since. But the universe has brought me so many great masters around the world, including descendants of the royal family, people of greatness, and people healer. Especially in my third book, I think the universe, the ascended masters wanted me to connect with all these great geniuses, like even there's all types of masters, and they share their secrets to me, and I put it in the book to share with the rest of humanity. And if people spend the time to read it, to understand it, they'll have a more enlightened life. They have a healthier life.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and they'll live longer. I have a whole chapter on longevity. But it's a book designed to help humanity to kind of avoid suffering so much based on the current circumstance that happened to us in the past few years. And I wrote the book before the circumstance happened. I mean, before this happened. And in retrospect, I realized that the book was designed to help people to negotiate this modern times of the health crisis and what people are going through with the immune system.
Well, we've had an interesting 3 years.
Yeah.
With the wars and the illness, the COVID and stuff like that, then the new kind of COVID and stuff like that. So staying on the same subject of past lives and stuff like that, how many lives do we have to live before we become one?
Well, it depends on the individual. I mean, you can live for many, many lives. I lived a long, long time. But I think for me, I came back, I wanted to come back for a purpose. And I saw a vision in my soul as I was coming to earth that I had a mission to accomplish. And part of what I'm doing now is to fulfill my mission through my books, through my writings, through my talks and all that, to empower humanity. But if you don't wake up, so let's say you're born in this new life and you're just going through your life, you die, you come back again, you get recycled. Mm-hmm. So you keep doing that over and over until you wake up. And then when you wake up, you do the spiritual practices to break free from the cycle, because otherwise you just repeat the cycle again. So it's all a matter of the individual waking up. That's why people come into your life. I think it's the universe's way to wake you up. Spiritual person, they'll plant a seed in your mind. Oh, we talk about meditation, maybe explore it. Oh, talk about yoga, maybe I'll explore that. And then if you do it and you follow that, your I am presence, your intuition, the Holy Spirit, or whatever you want to call it, to guide you to that, your true north. And you follow that, and it will lead you to that higher consciousness. And eventually, it'll set you free. So you break that cycle. Everybody goes through the cycle. Most come back. Mm-hmm. But the Buddhist masters, and especially in Tibet, they learn the system. They understand it. And then they know what it takes to break the system so they can be free, so they can go between dimensions rather than being like pulled back automatically by default.
So that's a good one. I call it, I say being recalled.
That's right.
What about evil people? Evil people meet evil people, and they make a lot of money, and that's really not good, yin and yang. So are they, another life, they were leading a good life, so in this life they have to have an evil life, or? Well,
I mean, evil, good and evil, those are terms, names, but we all have a choice. Maybe they lived a toxic life before, and so when they were born again, they're still toxic. So things will happen to them to kind of challenge them to grow. But it's the choice, free will, to decide if they want to grow, if they want to gravitate to the light or to the darkness. It's a choice. And so the universe, God, can't make you become a good person or an angelic person or an enlightened person. But that is through the prayer, through the meditation, that hopefully one day the energy will touch you in a way that you experience something you haven't experienced before, and then maybe you want to change your choices on what you're doing. Because you create karma. If you're doing these toxic things, hurting people, making bad choices, it just keeps you in the cycle, this prison.
Right.
But some people, they don't care because they look at this reality as only one life. But for people who know better, they know that they don't have to go through this cycle again. They can break free and explore other celestial realms.
That's why I was saying about the evil. Some people are real powerful that are evil, like dictators and stuff like that. I always wonder, how could they get in that position like that? You're going to have to repeat their life, but they've done well in their own mind. With controlling people and stuff like that, made a ton of money, and then they died rich.
Yeah.
I'm going, how's that possible?
Well, you look at them being physically, materialistically rich, but then spiritually poor. Yeah. So when you work in the world, the ego and the dark side is a kind of a powerful world too. There's two sides of it, and so I don't want to say too much names, but if you align with the dark side, there's connections, and they can bring you up, and they can raise you up and support. This whole connection of the dark side, they support each other.
Wow.
Yeah, there's a lot of money in that side too.
Yeah.
So it's just that karmically, is that what you want to do?
Yeah.
Do you want to leave behind a legacy of hurting people, and then you get rewarded for doing that? You get the whatever you want in life. You want the fame, you want the money, you get that. But then you got to recycle it. You have to face consequence eventually for your actions.
There you go.
Because what you do is not going to leave you. You may do all these bad things in this lifetime. Next lifetime, you may experience being a handicapped person because you hurt all these people.
Yeah.
So do you really want to experience that?
Yeah.
So if you can live a clean life and give and serve and love, you don't have to have that suffering. So maybe next life you come out in a good job or something like that. It's an easy life, relatively easy speaking, or suffering because you did something bad to somebody. You hurt so many people, then you might end up to be like a homeless person and being abused by people.
I see.
So what you choose in this life to do will follow you to the next life.
Sure.
Until you wake up and realize, okay, I did wrong, I'm sorry, forgive me, or whatever. Change your pattern in life. Otherwise, you're just going to, by default, come back again and again and again until you wake up.
Wow. Well, before we go, let me ask you a question about, which I do believe in. I've seen things which I had no answer, but what was facing me in my face right there, people from other planets coming here to visit. And I've seen some things, take some pictures, and I just kind of go, wow. And what do they think of the people on this planet?
What do they think?
Yeah. What do you think they think of us here? Because we're not as conscious, as a whole. That's what I was saying about if we could all come to one consciousness,
Yeah, I think in general they tend to be higher consciousness beings, but it's just like human beings. We have good ones and bad ones, and the same thing. They have species that are more enlightened and the species that are more diabolical, more toxic, negative. But in general, the more positive one, they see us very, very destructive, and they feel sorry for us abusing the planet.
Yeah.
And these things, I've seen UFOs myself. I filmed the UFO at the Sedona.
Yeah.
And my father was actually involved. It's interesting you mentioned that. The first UFO crash in the United States was Roswell in New Mexico. And my father was stationed in White Sands, New Mexico.
Oh, wow.
And he was working top secret. So
Wow.
he actually retrieved the film pictures from the crash. And he didn't tell me until later when I was an adult. We were watching a TV program. So I was there. I did that.
Amazing.
But they were kind of told to be silent about it.
Of course, yeah.
So he's part of that history and
retrieving.
Yeah. He was top secret things. He also, I guess, filmed different rockets that were V-2 rockets from the German war.
Wow.
So he was there, White Sands, New Mexico. But I have a lot of friends who also have experience, from a abductee standpoint or seeing them in the military. our clients who talk about too in the military, they see the UFOs flying.
Oh, yeah.
We're definitely not alone. I mean,
no.
this universe is too vast, and there's so many species out there.
Yeah.
And definitely, they want to help us, but we have to help ourselves to make better choices.
You know, one thing I always, they're saying how smart they are, and I said they're not too smart. They're always crashing on the Earth, and they're always examining us. Don't they have an internet? You'd think they would have an internet. You know, and they just hit it. Well, we don't have to examine you. This is what it is. This is what you look like.
Yeah, but I mean, there's always some faulty technology or something. But some of
aliens.
it, though, I mean, some of these things that are happening, the UFO phenomenon, I think some of it are created, not man-made phenomenon. There are authentic UFOs, and then there are some that are created, man-made through reverse engineering.
Yes.
So some of them you see, especially when they're flying real slow, those are probably like man-made ones.
Yeah.
But if you see like a real UFO from extraterrestrial one, they fly erratically and they can zip out really fast. So they're definitely there, but it's nothing to be afraid of. It's, in fact, you're going to hear more and more about it because, like everything else, these things are used as a thing to promote certain propagandas, and so I think be ready for that.
Yeah, no, right.
But just like anything else in creation, there's good and bad, and nothing to be afraid of. If they wanted to wipe us out, they would have wiped us out a long, long time ago.
Yeah, very true.
So right now, I think just focus on your health, focus on your life, focus on cultivation of yourself, so that you don't have to repeat the cycle. And let's just create a better future for our kids and for great-great-grandkids, and maybe make the world a better place. So that.
So the next time we'll be seeing each other in another life, huh?
Well, hopefully not. Hopefully you'll see us before that.
Yeah, be there. Okay.
Hopefully you'll be living a long time. You study the principles of longevity.
Yeah.
It's doable. It's doable.
Yeah, I heard if you live to 84 or more, then you've succeeded in this life. You know, I don't know why the 84 number was there.
Well, not necessarily. It depends what you do, what you do with your life. I mean, you can live like to 24, but if you live a fulfilling life where you're serving and living out of love, then that's a good life for you. And sometimes we come here for a limited time. It depends on our choices we make before we incarnate to this lifetime. And it's interesting. It's like people who died had near-death experience. It's kind of like reincarnation. What happens is the soul leaves the body, but it comes back to the same body. In reincarnation, it goes, it just incarnates a different body.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's interesting.
Yeah, as I said, I think it's just how people meet. You know, why have I met the people that I'm supposed to meet? There's no way in the world that I was supposed to meet the people I meet. You know, and just at that same time here, we're at the intersection and we meet. You know, we do a little business and stuff like that. And us meeting, you know, that's just crazy, man.
You know, if I didn't ask you certain questions, you didn't ask me certain questions, I just do my job, and we just walk by each other.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and just started talking, being sociable and stuff like that, positive. Well, Blake, you got anything else you want to say before we go?
Not really. I mean, if you have any questions.
No, not at the moment. Tell us about your books. Give us the name so people can get those.
Oh, okay. So I've written a couple of books.
You got them right here. Oh,
yeah, of course. So the first one is this Dare to Imagine. It's about my life journey and how I kind of ended my suffering and found happiness and joy. This is Beyond Imagination. I didn't mention this earlier, but it's my second book of my mystical journey, my awakening to the mystical world. And it's about my journey, but it teaches the reader how to do it themselves. This is A New Beginning, an antidote to civilization. Anything about health, wellness, longevity, spiritual mastery, world peace, everything. Sound like Miss America.
Yeah, I was getting ready to vote.
These are not from me. These are from the ascended beings sharing the message through me to the humanity to empower.
And where can people get those books?
You can get them through Amazon. There's select stores in Dublin and Pleasanton sells it. And San Francisco.
Northern California. Okay.
Yeah, mostly California, Mount Shasta. Otherwise, you can always contact me. But Amazon is always a good place to find everything, so it's there.
Well, Blake Sinclair, I can't thank you enough, my friend.
Thank you so much.
That we met, you know, and he's going to work on me after the show because I got this rutabaga, this arthritis working like that. And they can get you on, you have an email address?
Yeah, I have an email address. I guess they can put it blakesinclair@gmail.com.
That'll work. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you again. I'm Eddie Hazzard, and that's Blake Sinclair right there. And thank you for coming in for another episode of People You Should Know. And, hey, how about that backdrop back there?
Oh, wow. It's awesome. It's beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you so
until
much.
next time, stay cool, meditate, Positive thinking will keep you going. Bye now.
Bye bye.